Hi guys, I'm Ben from Adaptalux and welcome back to another macro photography tutorial where today we're doing something a little bit more on the practical side rather than creative. My friend Jake, who's the editor-in-chief of Total Carp magazine, a fishing magazine here in the UK, he's got in touch to ask my advice on how to get more consistency out of some of the tutorial and product photos that they take out in the field. They need all of these images to look the same all year round, no matter the weather. So I'm going to grab some of my lighting gear and go and meet Jake down by the pond to see what he needs and see if we can't add a little bit more consistency to the magazine's photos. So this is Jake. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what we're trying to achieve today?
Yeah, so inside the magazine we have sequences called step-by-steps, and as you would have guessed, that is obviously a step-by-step basis on how to do certain things. Also a little bit of product photography as well. But the issue we're running into is when we move into the winter months, which we're about to start doing now, the lighting is always sort of poor or changing all the time. As you can see now, the sun's just come back out and it's pretty easy to battle it, or pretty easy to work around the sun in the summer, whereas when you have no sun at all, it's pretty difficult. So I messaged Ben a couple of weeks ago now to see if we can have a look at the flash unit, just to see if that's going to solve our problem, basically.
So we're going to get a few bits of kit out, and Jake's going to do his thing with all of the fishing gear, and I'll do my thing with all the photography gear, and hopefully we can figure out the best way to achieve this tutorial style photo. So do you want to give us a quick idea about what it is we're actually trying to photograph? What kind of fishing gear are we looking at today?
So all of these components are what you need to basically tie up what is known as a rig. Essentially, for the non-anglers out there, that is a piece of line and a hook, to put it very simply. There are lots of other tiny little components that go into it as well, which we'll show you later down the line. But my job as a photographer is to capture what the angler is doing and how to make up these rigs and how to tie them. So when sort of the magazine reader comes across it, they know in sort of if they're a novice, they know how that angler ties everything up in a very easy step-by-step format. So what we need to achieve is a well-lit product and a well-lit scene, and also everything to be crisp and in focus, because we've got things like hooks like that, which are relatively big, but then we've got everything all the way down to these like crimps, which are much, much smaller. So the issue we run into with print especially is the fact that when you take a really good image, it is naturally sort of degraded by the printing process. It depends on the quality of paper and all that. I won't dive into that bit too much, but for my specific scenario, it needs to be as good as the image can be, so that in print we're not losing too much quality and it's still sort of viewable for the reader, and they've still got a clear and concise sort of idea of what we're doing.
So it's very much macro stuff. We're going to be getting very close to all of these tiny little components. And it's mostly a challenge of lighting, I'm thinking. So it's almost like product photography like you would do in a studio, but without the control of the lights that we usually have, because we're obviously outside and the light conditions are changing all of the time. We need to find a consistent way to photograph these step-by-step guides that we can replicate all year round. So I think that probably the best thing to start with is going to be a couple of flash lighting arms. And so Jake's sat here sort of being the angler. This is how the angler would be sat. Am I right there, Jake?
Yeah, that's correct. There's either sat on a bucket, sat on a chair, tackle box on your knee. This is how in a non-photography environment they would be sat tying their rig. So yeah, it's generally over the shoulder stuff, sort of in a point of view mode, if you like.
Okay, so let me grab a couple of pieces of lighting kit and we can have a look at what we can do straight out of the gate with a couple of flash lighting arms. So there's a couple of ways to approach the lighting for something like this, and the first one would be to mount the lighting on your camera and look over the angler's shoulder taking the lighting with you. But there's a little issue with that, in that the sizes of these products, the hooks and the line, they're all going to require moving forward and back, moving in and out of the shot to get different compositions. So as you move forward and back, you're going to change the lighting along with the composition. And I think the better way to do this is going to be to set up the lighting independently of the camera. So I've got the Control Pod 3 here, and I'm going to just place it on a separate tripod. I've just got a little Arca Swiss style plate here that I'm going to attach the pod with. And I've also placed around the neck of the tripod a little diffuser. This is just diffusion material, and this is just to even out the light. I suspect that some of these things are going to be a little bit reflective, like the hooks and the box, so having some diffusion is going to be pretty critical. So I'm going to place this over the top of where Jake is setting up all of his gear, and hopefully that will give us a nice little staging area for the hands and the gear to be under this diffused lighting, and that should give us quite a lot of consistency. So when it comes to the settings of the flash, I've got both of these set to level 5, which is the brightest flash. We're going to need that because, well, it's pretty bright out here. It's daytime, there's bright sunshine. We are in the shade, but that diffuser is taking a lot of the light out as well. So we still need to combat some of the daylight. Oh, we're getting really close now.
This is where it comes quite close in. So usually we'd hold it like that, just to sort of insinuate that line is going through the hole in the crimp.
Okay. Can you just go a little bit more under the diffuser? So that's going to be key to all of these, is getting your hands in the same sort of position related to the lighting. And then you'll get pretty consistent lighting in each of them. So these are going to be cropped 1-to-1 for the magazine, right? Yeah, so they go on a page, sort of an A4 or a magazine page in multiples of 3 or 4, and we do them sort of 12, 16, stuff like that, just so it fits on a page and you've got no sort of gap. So when you're shooting them, you do have to keep that in mind as well. It's not necessarily down to light in that, but it's more down to how many steps you can fit in, or how many more you need to shoot to fit extras in. And I'm just thinking about the composition in the camera as well. Like, we're getting close, but you do need to then be conscious that probably a little bit of this needs to be available for cropping out of as well, so that we can then zoom in a little bit in post-processing. So the next step is holding this little loop. So we would put that in there just before we crimp this down to hold it in position. So it's a case of getting that angle so you can kind of see everything that's going on. Nice. So in this instance, what sort of drives you to starting with the flash rather than the LED? Obviously, because I know you do 2 sets of sort of arms, which is, why is this going to be better, or why do you think this is going to be better for this scenario? So it's not really a one is better than the other. Yeah, you could get these shots with LEDs, and in some instances they're going to be better because you can see what everything looks like on the back of the camera before you take your shot. With flash, there's a little bit of guesswork about how your light is going to look in the final photo. You don't know what it's going to look like before you take your shot. But being that we're outside, being that we need that consistency and we need the power to be able to overpower the sun and the environment, the flash is a lot more powerful. It's also going to counteract any camera shake that I might have hand holding the camera. Yeah. So you could do it with LEDs and you could put your camera on a tripod, but I think for something like this, which is fairly dynamic, we're going one shot to the next, you don't really want your camera on a tripod. You need to be able to move in and out. So hand holding is better, and just the general power of the flash, I think for a situation like this, is going to be much, much better. We're removing a lot of that, those variables of the light changing everywhere else. If the sun comes out, it doesn't really make a difference because most of the light in our shot is being provided by the flash here. So provided you've got your hands underneath that diffuser, it doesn't matter if it's sunny, it doesn't matter if it's shady, it doesn't matter if the heavens open and it starts raining. As long as you've got your hands under that diffuser, all of the shots should look pretty consistent. So no matter the time of year, no matter the weather, you should be able to get the same looking shot for every edition of the magazine and every different tutorial.
Yeah, you just actually pointed something out there that I'd not even thought about previously to this. A lot of the time you just get rained off. Obviously we have shelters, bivvies. A lot of them now are so good that they block a lot of the sunlight out. So you can't really get any lighting in there. So they're sort of off limits for doing any sort of photography. Whereas this could be pouring down with rain, and it's only just twigged in my mind that you can use this and you can still get work done even when it's raining. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's an interesting point.
I mean, it's that consistency in all of the different lighting scenarios. We're basically trying to build, it's why it's called the Adaptalux Studio, is because it's a miniature lighting studio that you can take out and about with you and get the same sort of consistency that you would have from your studio lights, but in a small, compact and portable configuration. So talking about that word consistency again, it's not just consistency between different shoots for the sake of the magazine, it's also consistency between each shot because there's so many individual shots. They all need to look, well, consistent next to one another in the magazine itself.
Yeah.
And you just tilt that one like up into the side a little bit. Just, yeah.
It's also so people don't confuse a step with another step as well, because if you're a complete novice, a lot of these steps can look relatively similar.
Well, they all look pretty similar to me, not being a fisherman at all.
That's probably a good example, really. So
I get that there's, obviously nuances that you can spot being a pro at this that maybe I wouldn't be able to tell unless they were all sat next to each other in a sequence.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to achieve, isn't it? Making it easier to see exactly what each individual step consists of. So I think that we've managed to get some pretty consistent images from start to finish, really. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, 100%. Definitely a huge improvement over what I was doing before. I think with my job especially, I work to very strict deadlines, to print deadlines, and sometimes you don't let bad work go, but you have to sort of deal with the best that you've got, and this completely eliminates that factor because the best you've got is the flash, and that is the same month on month, whether it's June or December, it's the same.
Yeah, and it's about taking control of that light. Obviously, when you're shooting outside, there's very little control of what the environment's going to be like. But if you can effectively eliminate all of those variables of whether the sun's out or, what time of day it is, whether the clouds are out, having a nice powerful flash that's, the right size for the photos you're taking, it can just even out the consistency, not only between editions of the magazine, between shoots, but also between each individual photo that you're taking.
Yeah.
Because they're all displayed on a single page.
Yeah.
So they all need to look similar to one another.
Yeah, because obviously that's just taking us a little bit longer because we are filming it for the purpose of your viewers as well, but they do take a period of time, and if it takes 15 minutes, the lighting at the beginning of that 15 minutes, as we've just noticed, changes vastly to the end, and if you're looking at it all on one page, it has to look like they were almost shot exactly the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Which the flash gives you that because the lighting is the same every time. So yeah, for me, invaluable, and the only sort of option because of the weight, really.
And if you're not into fishing, this is it's not the only use for something like this. What we've essentially demonstrated is just an outdoor shoot of anything small, particularly if you're trying to create that kind of consistency between shots, a series of images, or like we're doing today, like a step-by-step guide. You can apply these principles to pretty much anything. So make sure to hit the like button if you've learned something today. Leave a comment below if you have questions for Jake about fishing or for me about lighting in photography. And make sure to hit subscribe button for lots more macro photography tutorials, ideas and inspiration coming in the future. But for now, that's all that we've got time for. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.